Hi there, welcome back to another Crypto Dave video. So today we're doing another crypto passive income experiment update. This is for week 18. As always, links to all the previous ones are available in a playlist of the same name. And before we jump into the figures this week, I just want to kind of clarify a couple of bits. Obviously it's been a crazy kind of 24 hours. Now the figures here are for yesterday basically, so a lot of the carnage which happened overnight last night won't be reflected in these figures, but will be reflected next week going forward. So essentially I take the DeFi, all the DeFi figures on Monday morning, and then any kind of staking, any interest accounts, because Celsius and HODL both pay on a Monday, Yield and Nexo paying out on a daily basis. But basically I grab those kind of figures and then I use the closing price on Monday for anything that's been paid out in kind of crypto, and then I collate all the figures on a Tuesday morning, then do the video Tuesday afternoon. So because everything so dramatically kind of changed last night, and we'll talk about Terra Luna and UST in a few minutes, but because everything kind of happened after I'd done all the kind of figures for this, this doesn't necessarily reflect my current position as of this morning. So I just wanted to clarify that. But let's jump straight in and have a look at the figures quickly, and then we'll talk about what's been happening. Nothing for BlockFi and Ledn that pay out monthly, but $22 for Celsius, $33 for HODL, $46 for Nexo, and $8 for Yield app. And then on the staking side, $4 for Cardano, $36 for Solana, and $7 for Luna. And then moving on to the DeFi side of things, $99 for Polygon, $290 for Phantom, $23 for Avalanche, $206 for Terra Luna, $31 for Solana. And that's a grand total this week of $805, which is by far the least that we've had so far this year. The other thing I wanted to mention briefly was this total here. So this is a total deposited across all these different platforms. Somebody commented last week asking me why this wasn't updated, and essentially I had updated some of the individual amounts going through these, but I hadn't summed those up, so it was just an oversight on my part. Now, not been a great week, obviously. The price of everything's come down. Bitcoin currently trading around 31,500. Yesterday morning, when it was about 33, 34, I pinged that it looked like it was going to go down and retest 30,000, and it did overnight, and has, you know, sprung back a little bit since then. But the really big news, or the really big kind of like sort of like kind of change in the kind of market, is in Terra Luna and UST. Now those of you who've been following this series will know that a lot of my stable coins are tied up in UST. Now UST broke peg basically last night, and dramatically so. I think at one point it touched, or it wicked down to 60 cents. Now it's currently trading around 90. It's been trading around 90 cents most of the kind of morning, or most of the last kind of 2 or 3 hours. So it's recovered a bit of that, but still well below kind of peg for a stablecoin, which should be pegged to the dollar. To be trading at 90 cents is pretty catastrophic. Now Terra Luna, on the other hand, has had, you know, a worse drive. It was down 50% yesterday at one point, went down into the $20 odd range. And we entered essentially a bit of a kind of death spiral for kind of UST. Big sell-offs of UST, which were causing big sell-offs in the price of Luna, as more and more Luna got kind of printed, as people moved down to UST, and then a series of kind of cascading liquidations on Anchor Protocol. Now I on Anchor Protocol have a mixture of UST that I've actually kind of converted from other stuff that's just sat there earning interest, but also I had collateralized positions. So I had bonded Luna that I was borrowing against, and I was liquidated last night. Now a load of delays in transactions and stuff like that didn't affect the my Avalanche on Anchor, but it did affect the bonded Luna. It's not all of my Luna, but it was a substantial chunk of cash, which I am currently down. And even my UST obviously down. Now the peg is down around 90 kind of cents, you know, 10% down, just purely on the kind of stablecoin front. So it will be a bit of a catastrophic kind of update once I get the figures next week. So expect a lot of these kind of figures to drop dramatically. But essentially, yeah, $805 over the last kind of week, $57,937 so far this year. If we jump into the DeFi side of things, no changes here over the last week. One of the reasons why we haven't earned a lot is Phantom. So Tomb is well below peg on Phantom, so we haven't had any T shares printing out for quite a while. We've still got our liquidity pools there, and they're kind of paying out. And Solana here, this is on Frankium, so I have single-sided staking using the lend function. So this is just Solana lend, and this has been between 15 and 20%, so that's been pretty good. But I did take a chunk out. I had well over 200 Solana that I've been taking out as kind of stepping put in there, and then I took a big chunk out to buy a new set of virtual trainers essentially there. So that's down to about 80 Solana, but I will be boosting that back up over the coming weeks. But yeah, a pretty awful kind of week. Our interest accounts here, you can see 5,500 in of stablecoins in interest accounts, 84,000 in DeFi. Now this will, as of this morning, will be substantially different. So that was a decrease of 12,400 odd dollars from the previous week, and this was basically deleveraging my kind of positions through Anchor. I also actually sold some of my UST to buy kind of few coins as the market kind of went down, but I'll run over those in more detail next week when we have some specific kind of figures. As you can see here, our worst week by far this week, under $1,000. The only week we've been under $1,000 so far. But the good news is we're still well ahead of our kind of target. So, you know, we need a bit of a kind of turnaround now. Hopefully this sort of wick down to sub 30,000 Bitcoin may have been a bottom. I would like to think so. That would be kind of good. And if we can, you know, have some positive kind of price movements over the next kind of like few weeks and kind of months, that would be very good. But we're still well above target due to the kind of couple of really good weeks back here, but we are slowly coming back towards that line. At this rate, looks like we'll be kind of back roughly at that kind of line somewhere around the kind of middle of the year, so we'll see what happens. And then the stablecoin target, well under our 100,000, so I was hoping we wouldn't see under 100,000 again, but basically just lowering the loan to value on Terra Luna and Avalanche, which unfortunately did kind of backfire in a way, because I was liquidated within my bonded Luna, or chunk of the bonded Luna within Avalanche. But I mean, the price of Luna went down 50% yesterday, and you know, UST just went kind of crazy, you know, to wick down to kind of 60 cents. I did actually pick up a little bit of UST this morning, not a huge amount, but a few thousand that I had on kind of Binance. I think it was 3,000 or 4,000, with a hope that it kind of goes back to kind of peg. But we will have to see what happens over the next kind of week or so. For now, it seems to have stabilized a little bit. We've been trading around 90 cents for UST, so it's been a little bit above that, a little bit below that. And Luna itself seems to be down. I think it's around $30 at the moment as I'm recording this. Yeah, just around $30. Did go below that, but that's still down 50% in the last 24 hours and 64%. So it's lost 2/3 of its value essentially over the last 7 days. There is a sea of red throughout kind of crypto this morning. The only coin I see up in the last 24 hours is Matic, based on, I imagine, the announcement of the collaboration with Meta. So this is Facebook's Meta play for NFTs on their kind of platform. So congratulations to Matic for that. And we do have some stuff on Polygon. We've got a Matic quick swap pool here, so that will benefit a little bit. But basically a sea of red. It's been a really tough 24 hours. You know, I feel for anybody involved, particularly people that have been liquidated or anything like that. If you are just holding UST, okay, you know, technically as we speak you're down 10%, but you know, I could see it going back to peg. This is not financial advice, and you know, the whole thing could collapse, but you know, I'm, you know, hopeful, you know, kind of like hopeful that UST kind of regains peg. But this is the issue, obviously, with decentralized stablecoins, and I think it's really sad to see this kind of happen, because I think we desperately need a decentralized stablecoin that can't be shut down by governments or something like that. So really disappointing to see what has happened. There's a lot of rumors floating around about the kind of attack on UST and Terra Luna, but we will address all that once the fullness of the kind of situation becomes apparent over the next week. So next week I will talk in more detail about this, but for now that's it for this week's update. As I said, lowest update so far this year, complete turmoil in the kind of markets. Hopefully we may have seen a local bottom with Bitcoin just dipping below 30,000, but we will have to wait and see over the next few days and weeks. Thanks very much for watching. As always, hope you're all keeping safe and well. If you can give me a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. Hopefully I'll see you on the next video, but until then, have a great day. Bye bye.